the god who was beheaded by his own father. Imagine being so devoted to your mother that it gets you beheaded by your own father. This isn't some forgotten tragedy from a lost epic. This is the story of a god made from earth, a father's blinding rage, and a divine sacrifice that would change the cosmos forever. It's the story of how one of the most beloved deities in the world got his iconic elephant head through an act of shocking violence and profound regret. This is the legend of Ganesha, the god whose very creation put him on a collision course with the most powerful being in the universe. His own father, Lord Shiva, who had no idea he even existed. Stick around, because we're about to unravel a tale of loyalty, fury, and rebirth that explains why millions of people won't start a single important task without first honoring the god who was born to die and reborn to overcome. Section 1. A mother's solitude, a son's creation. The story starts in the celestial realm of Mount Kailash, a place of serene, snow-capped peaks and vast silence. This was the home of the goddess Parvati and her husband, the great ascetic god, Lord Shiva. But while Shiva would often retreat into deep meditation for ages, lost to the world and even to his wife, Parvati felt a deep and echoing loneliness. Her home was magnificent, but her authority felt incomplete. The guards of Kailash, the Ganas, were loyal to one being only, Shiva. Even her most trusted guard, Nandi, had once let Shiva walk into her private chambers unannounced, leaving her feeling exposed and wishing for a guardian who was hers and hers alone. This yearning for a confidant, a son, a truly loyal protector grew stronger every day. One afternoon, as she prepared for her bath, an idea born of divine maternal instinct took hold. She wouldn't just ask for a guardian, she would create one. The most famous telling of this myth, from the ancient Shiva Purana, says Parvati gathered the turmeric paste, sandalwood, and dirt from her own body. With her divine hands, she began to sculpt this earthy mixture. But she wasn't just making a statue. She was pouring all of her love, her loneliness, and her fierce desire for loyalty into its form. She shaped a boy, handsome and strong, perfect in every way. When she was finished, she looked upon the figure and did something extraordinary. She leaned in close and breathed life into the clay. The boy's chest rose with his first breath. His eyes opened and he looked at Parvati not just as his creator, but as his mother. He was born from her very essence, and his devotion to her was absolute and pure. Parvati's heart swelled with joy. She named him Ganesha. Handing him a heavy staff, she gave him his first and only command. "You are my son," she told him, "and my protector. I am going to bathe. You will stand guard at this door. Do not let anyone enter without my permission. No god, no sage, no attendant, no one." The boy, with unwavering loyalty in his eyes, took his post. He was brand new to the world, completely unaware of cosmic hierarchies, other gods, or the universe's complicated politics. He knew only one thing: his mother's command, and he would fulfill it, even if it cost him his life. He stood as a sentinel, a living boundary between his mother and the rest of the universe, having no idea that the greatest test of his loyalty was striding toward him at that very moment. Section 2. The unstoppable force meets the immovable sun. While Parvati bathed, confident in her new guardian, Lord Shiva finished his long meditation. He returned to Kailash and made his way home, eager to see his beloved wife. But as he approached the entrance, he was met with a strange sight. A young, powerful boy he'd never seen before was blocking his path, holding a staff with an air of total authority. Shiva, master of the universe, was confused. "Stand aside," he commanded, his voice calm but firm. Ganesha, recognizing no one but his mother, didn't move an inch. "No one may pass," he declared. My mother ordered me to guard this door, and no one enters until she is finished." Shiva's brow furrowed. He might have even cracked a small smile at the boy's audacity. He tried to explain who he was, that this was his home, and that Parvati was his wife. But Ganesha was unmoved. His instructions were simple and absolute. He didn't know this stranger, and his mother had said no one. Shiva's patience, never his strongest quality, started to wear thin. He wasn't used to being denied. He called on his loyal attendants, the Ganas, to get this impertinent boy out of his way. The Ganas, all fierce warriors, charged forward. But what happened next shocked them all. The boy, created from the divine power of Parvati herself, was impossibly strong. He fought with the fury and might of a seasoned warrior, single-handedly defeating Shiva's entire army. The Shiva Purana describes an epic violent battle where this lone boy proved to be an unstoppable force. News of the chaos spread, and the other major gods arrived to see the unbelievable spectacle for themselves. Vishnu, the preserver, and Brahma, the creator, watched in astonishment as a mere boy held off the forces of the mightiest god in existence. The conflict escalated. Shiva's initial annoyance had turned to frustration, and now his legendary temper was beginning to boil over. This wasn't just a god. This was an obstacle, a challenge to his authority in his own home. His ego was wounded. The battle raged, shaking the celestial mountains. Shiva, the destroyer, a being whose third eye could burn entire cosmoses, could not get past this child. The boy's loyalty was his shield. His mother's command was his sword. But Shiva's anger was a rising tide, a cataclysmic storm. He wasn't trying to just move the boy anymore. He was now determined to destroy this inexplicable challenge to his power. In a final, desperate move to end the stalemate, the gods devised a plan. Some versions say Lord Vishnu used his powers of illusion to distract Ganesha for just a second. It was the only opening Shiva needed. Consumed by a blind cosmic rage, Shiva unleashed his ultimate weapon, the divine trident, the Trishula. In a flash of light and a sound that split the heavens, the trident flew. And in that horrifying, world-altering moment, Shiva, the great god, beheaded the son he never knew he had. Section 3. A Mother's Fury and a Cosmic Crisis. Silence fell on the battlefield. The Ganas stood frozen. The gods watched in horror. The headless body of the young god slumped to the ground, his duty fulfilled and his life extinguished. At that exact moment, hearing the battle's end, Parvati emerged from her bath. What she saw shattered her heart and unleashed a power that threatened to unmake reality itself. There on the ground lay the body of the beautiful son she had created with her own hands, killed by her own husband. A cry of anguish tore from her throat, a sound of such profound grief and rage that it shook the foundations of all three worlds. This wasn't just a mother's sorrow. This was the fury of Shakti, the primordial cosmic energy from which all things are born. Her eyes, once filled with love, now burned with the fire of destruction. She transformed into her terrifying form of Adi Shakti, the Dark Mother, her very presence promising total annihilation. "You have killed my son?" she roared, her voice echoing through the cosmos. "You who couldn't respect my privacy have murdered an innocent boy whose only crime was loyalty to me. For this, I will destroy everything. I will unmake all of creation." The terrified gods realized this was no empty threat. The universe itself began to fray at the edges as Parvati's grief-fueled power surged. Planets wobbled, stars flickered, and a wave of darkness began to spread. Shiva's rage vanished instantly, replaced by a dawning, soul-crushing horror. He finally understood what he had done. He hadn't just disciplined some insolent god. He had broken his wife's heart and murdered her child. The gods pleaded with the furious goddess to relent, to spare creation. Parvati, her voice choked with sobs, gave them one condition: bring my son back to life. And that's not all. He must be revered. He must be worshipped before all other gods, forever. Only then will I stop this. Desperate, Shiva agreed immediately. But there was a problem. In the chaos, Ganesha's original head had been lost, thrown too far away, or completely destroyed. They had to find a solution, and fast. Shiva turned to his Ganas, his voice filled with urgency. Go, he commanded. Go north, the direction of new beginnings. Bring me the head of the very first living creature you find. The Ganas scrambled to obey, racing across the land. The fate of the universe now rested on finding a new head for a dead boy. They searched and searched, until finally they found a great elephant, sleeping peacefully with its head pointing north. Following their lord's command, they severed the animal's head and rushed it back to Kailash. With the elephant head in hand, the divine physicians, the Ashvins, assisted as the great gods performed the sacred rite. Chanting powerful mantras, they carefully placed the elephant's head on the boy's shoulders. As the final words echoed, a miracle occurred. Life surged back into the body. The boy, now with the head of an elephant, stirred and sat up. Ganesha was alive. Seeing her son resurrected, Parvati's rage subsided into tears of joy as she embraced him. Shiva, looking upon the boy's unique form, was filled with a father's love and deep reverence for the son who had taught him a terrible lesson about ego. To fulfill his promise to Parvati, he made a divine proclamation. He declared, "From this day forward, you will be known as Ganapati, the Lord of all my Ganas, and Ganesha, the Lord of the people. You are my son, and no prayer, no ritual, no venture, no beginning will ever be successful unless you are worshipped first. You will be the remover of all obstacles." And so, through shocking violence, a mother's grief, and a desperate act of celestial surgery, a new god was born. A god who would forever carry the head of an elephant as a symbol of his sacrifice and his divine purpose. Section 4. The symbolism of the elephant god. The story of Ganesha's beheading and rebirth isn't just a dramatic myth, it's a profound lesson packed into symbols. His unique and instantly recognizable form is practically a roadmap for a wiser way of life. He became known as Vignaharta, which means the remover of obstacles. Shiva gave him this title, making him the guardian of all beginnings, ensuring that anyone who honored him first would have their path cleared of hurdles. So why is his form so powerful? Every part of it is a symbol. His elephant head is the big one, literally. Elephants are revered for their wisdom, intelligence, and memory. That large head represents the vast knowledge we need to navigate life. An elephant carves its own path through a dense jungle, making a way for others to follow. In the same way, honoring Ganesha is believed to clear a path for whatever we're trying to do. His large ears are a reminder to listen more and talk less, to be receptive to new ideas and the needs of others. In a world full of noise, Ganesha's ears teach us that wisdom starts with actually listening. His small eyes, in contrast, represent single-minded focus. They symbolize the ability to look inward, past the distractions of the material world to focus on what truly matters. His long trunk is a symbol of amazing versatility. A trunk can uproot a massive tree, but it can also pick up a single, delicate flower. This represents the ideal mind, strong enough to overcome huge obstacles, yet sensitive enough to handle the most subtle tasks. That broken tusk? It tells a story of sacrifice. The most famous legend says he broke it off himself to use it as a pen to write down the epic poem, the Mahabharata. This symbolizes that no sacrifice is too great for knowledge, and that we have to be willing to let go of our own vanity for a greater purpose. His large belly isn't about gluttony, it represents the capacity to peacefully digest all of life's experiences, both good and bad. It teaches us to accept whatever comes our way with grace. And finally, his vehicle is a tiny mouse. It seems impossible, right? How could a massive god ride such a small creature? But it's deeply symbolic. The mouse represents desire and the ego, small, restless, and always gnawing away at us. By riding the mouse, Ganesha shows that he has mastered his desires and tamed his ego. He teaches that true wisdom keeps even the most troublesome thoughts under control. Every part of Ganesha's form is a lesson, a reminder that the path to success isn't about brute force, but about wisdom, focus, sacrifice, and self-control. Conclusion. Ganesha's journey from a boy of clay to the Lord of New Beginnings is a timeless epic. It's a story that explores the rawest of human emotions, a mother's protective love, a son's absolute loyalty, and a father's destructive rage. But in the end, it's a story of redemption and transformation. Shiva's terrible anger gives way to profound remorse, which leads to a divine gift that elevates his son to a position of supreme importance. Ganesha's beheading wasn't the end. It was a violent, necessary beginning. It was the sacrifice that turned him into Vignaharta, the remover of obstacles for all of us. His story teaches us that our greatest wounds can become our greatest strengths. The head he lost was replaced by one that embodies wisdom, strength, and adaptability. That's why today, from the launch of a new business to the first day of school, from a wedding to a long journey, Hindus across the world first invoke the name of Ganesha. They do this not just out of tradition, but because they understand this story. They pray to him to clear the path ahead, to remove the obstacles within themselves, like ego and anger, and the obstacles out in the world. The god who was beheaded by his own father isn't a symbol of tragedy, but of triumph. He's proof that out of conflict can come peace, out of loss can come greatness, and that any obstacle can be overcome with wisdom and humility. He is the eternal guardian at the threshold, reminding us that every new beginning is possible, if we just have the wisdom to honor him first. If you love this journey into the heart of mythology, make sure you subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss our next deep dive into the legends that shaped our world. These are more than just stories. They're guides to understanding ourselves. Let us know in the comments. What part of Ganesha's story resonates with you the most? Is there an obstacle in your life you're hoping to overcome? May the wisdom of Ganesha clear your path. Thanks for watching.